And we're live. Welcome everybody to RugRoast episode 9. Let's kick it off with a little jam.
RugRoast. 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 RugRoast.
All right, so our song was edited because it said like Burnin' OG is the host. So he changed it. That's our new song, and he's working on another one. So thanks, J6, for that. You're a legend, dude. If everyone could like, comment, retweet, if you're in YouTube, like it. Welcome everybody to RugRoast episode 9. Today we've got our other new host, ChefOctane. So we'll talk with him first. We've got Shane. He's a legendary collector. I was going through his wallet, and we're all going to do that. We're going to roast his wallet, which is going to be kind of hard because he's been very successful. So we'll talk to him, and we also have EpsilonTauHeta that we will bring up after Shane. So welcome everybody. We'll start by talking to you, Octane. Dude, if you want to tell us a little bit about your background pre-NFT, kind of how you got into the space and what you've been doing.
Yeah, can you hear me? I had a little bit of audio issues. Just want to make sure.
Good, man. Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. Yeah, so pre-NFTs, let's see. I've been working in tech for over a decade now. A little bit of product management, a little bit of engineering. Currently, I'm doing some DevOps management. And so that's kind of been my career background. What got me into NFTs is actually my sort of my hobby background, where I was previously a gamer. I competed professionally in Counter-Strike. It's been almost 20 years ago now, so it's been quite a while. And so, I was in gaming, and I'm sure Shane knows this. I actually have been following Shane closely and what he has going on. But in gaming, we're kind of collecting digital collectibles all the time. The difference is we don't truly own them. Maybe they're assigned to like our gaming account or something. We can't do a whole bunch with it except for use it while you're playing in the game. And so, just my background in gaming kind of led me into NFTs. I heard about the Bored Apes, kind of early on, and I was like, oh, what's special about this? I didn't quite get it. I wasn't a big like crypto guy, so I'm new to the crypto world, starting with NFTs. But I saw, I was playing Apex Legends was the game. I was streaming a little bit and saw in one of the tournaments, it was actually Artifact, the makers of Clone X, had created some digital sneakers for the tournament. One of the major tournaments was the Apex Legends ALGS tournament, and they gave away these digital sneakers that they also turned into physicals. And so that's how I found out about Artifact. And then I followed their launch of Clone X and everything, and kind of faded it every step of the way as I was trying to learn NFTs at the same time. And then eventually, after I found out that Nike had acquired Artifact, I was like, all right, I got to jump in. And I found a project. It was kind of what I was thinking was the next Clone X is kind of how I was like navigating the space early on. It wasn't. And it was actually quite a big failure that I would roast myself actually on. And then joined a different project that went a little bit mainstream. I'm sure some have heard about it, Psychedelics Anonymous. I think Shane had a PA Genesis at one point or another, and I wrote that project for a little while, and then really started focusing more recently on gaming. Projects related to gaming, especially the other side. I wasn't fortunate enough to get in on the apes or the mutants when I could afford it, and so I went into other side with a a group of buddies that I hang out with, and in Web3, and yeah, so I got other deeds. I've been kind of writing that and plan to stick to that, and then have been navigating a few other gaming projects as well.
Nice, man. Yeah, I think gaming has a major future. I think most people would agree on that. And I'm also into other side. I've got a little bit of everything, right? Trying to have like the full breadth of exposure there. So and it's fun too. I mean, could be a huge future and a great investment, but it's also fun. Yeah, 2160. Any questions for Octane, our new co-host?
Yeah, no, man. It sounds like a journey, right? And I think that is that's just part of being in Web3. You know, a bunch of my friends, they don't know what I'm doing in Web3, and I try to explain it to them, and it's like, there's so many nuances that you basically got to learn by doing. There's so much that has accumulated over the last 3 years. So I've been in the space for 3 years, and I think for those of us that started back then, we had to learn like little bits of information every single day. And so it didn't feel like a fire hose. But for anybody jumping into Web3 now, like it would be a significant fire hose of information that you try to impart on them. So I think it's just all part of the journey. And I obviously know a lot of the collections that you talk about, whether I invested in them or not. But yeah, it's glad to have you here and your experience on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, man, it was you came highly recommended from Loxley, and Loxley is one of the like top 5 smartest people I've ever met. So, and then
Yeah,
we spoke, and yeah, it was a good fit. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Well, yeah, welcome. And so Shane, we're gonna roast your wallet, but first, I wanted to ask a little bit about your background. Like, how did you get into NFTs? Give us the story.
Yeah, so I have a kind of an unusual story. For my real life, I grew plants for a living. I had a family nursery that's 100, and we've started in 1865, and I was a trader at the Board of Trade, trading stocks and options and corn and beans. And my family, like every traditional family story, like you say, you're never going to join the family business. And then next thing you know, you're sitting next to your dad working at the family business. So, but he was nice enough to give me a small little nursery to start back in the 90s. And we built it up to 40 something employees. But I tell the story is I became known as a garden guy locally. So I have 3 lives. I'm on a TV show. It's on 100 stations. It's on PBS. Everybody knows me as a garden guy. On the side, I was buying domain names. So in the 90s, I was worried that the nursery was going to lose business to the internet. So I bought domain names like botany.com and uncomfortable.com and runner.com with a friend. So I bought all these one-word .coms and other domain names because I thought plants, I was going to need them to compete against in the local business or in any business. And it turns out those domain names became very valuable digital assets. So I've sold them for hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars over the years. So that's why you're going to find a lot of NFT people that are the most successful were in domain names. You don't realize it until you start looking under the hood. But we all came across and saw different things happen. Like I bought one of the first packs of Top Shot because our friend said, hey, there's a collectible cards coming on and it might be something. I bought a couple packs, never looked at them for months. Somebody emailed me and said, those packs you bought like 6 months ago might be worth something. I look and it was like thousands of dollars. I bought everything early. I bought camels. I bought pickles. So when people say you're lucky, I don't know if I was lucky. I just bought everything because it was pretty cheap early. And I brought about $5,000 over from something called BitClout. I don't know if any of you was in BitClout, but I was one of the few people that was able to get BitClout coin out and use it. Somebody taught me a third-party market maker that was buying BitClout coins for like 30% of their value. So I brought that over, bought camels, apes, pickles, everything. I ended up getting 3 apes for about $5,000. And really the rest is history. I've it's not all been a nice ride. I did lose a lot of money on WorldCoin and some of that, world land and things like that. But the two things that I've done is I was a founder of Trippies. I don't always put that out there, but Andy Booth and I formed a project called Trippies that I absolutely love. Two of my favorite artists in the entire world, Joe Ruiz and Rio Duarte, who did Bulls on the Block. And we just learned, like some people will say we did a terrible job and they might not be wrong, but man, it was so new. It was such a wild west when we came out with Trippies. I mean, just to audit the contract, people wanted like 4 ETH and 3 ETH, 10 grand to do anything was ridiculously expensive when we were coming out. So I learned so much from the developer side and from the founder side. And then I came with Joe Ruiz and we did a project called Toda, which I still think is some of the most amazing art you'll see. And that's going to be in the wallet that you guys roast. But you blow that stuff up and you will not roast the art. And we all know that art is only so much, man. Somebody was selling orange squares. Ben sold orange squares. So who gives a shit about the art, right?
Oh,
but in general, there is no more talented artist than Joe Ruiz. Like if you want to put something on the wall, it is badass. So I've kind of had that journey. When I go to NFT projects, I go to the founders parties and meetings, and I really want to learn the back end of it. So I do everything to learn that side of it. And I think that makes you a better investor if you understand what's on the back side of it. So that's kind of my journey from gardening to domain names. So I'm Garden Shane, I'm Domain Shane, and now I'm Sugar Shane. So those are my 3 lives.
Nice, man. Yes, Ben, I am drinking an Upperall Spritz. A little tip of the hat to OSF. But yeah, Shane, people say, yeah, you're lucky. You were early. I completely disagree with that. If you're in early, that means you recognized the potential you got.
And I still have them. How lucky is it to hold through 30,000 and 40,000? That's what my wife would have sold that shit at 10 grand. Like if she would have gone from 1,000 to 10,000, it would not be in her wallet right now. I was smart enough to be, as a trader, I know you take some off the table to get your money back. You take a little bit more profit for the big deals, and then you hold a couple for the big home runs. And that's exactly how I treated this.
Yeah, that's a perfect play, the moon bags. 2160 or Octane.
Yeah, I think your life experience sounds like it really helped you in the Web3 space, and being early to digital assets from a domain name perspective kind of gave you the fabric to like hold long term, because you bought them and you didn't sell them probably for years before they became actually the valuable assets that they did. And so having that perspective kind of made it easy for you to hold long term. I think a lot of people in this space have very short attention spans, and that's been since 2020 when I first got here, before the money was made. And then once the bull happened and people were literally making life-changing money in 48 hours trading assets, that mindset of holding stuff has just kind of gone out the window. So I think you'll have a lot of stuff in your wallet, I'm sure, that you round tripped from 0 to it was worth something and now it's back to 0. But if you will always buy for the art, or because you're interested in the project or the technology or the innovation, then you don't have regrets about that. And not everything you hit is going to be a home run. Not everything you'll make $500,000 on an ape or something like that. But it's an experience that kind of molds you as an investor if you're here to invest, and as a collector if you're here for the art. And usually it's somewhere in between.
Shane, you're muted.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. I am one of the older people. I'm going to be 54 years old, so I'm a lot older than most people in the room. And from domains, that you have to get a 10x, right? That you have to get at least 10x because it has to pay for all the losers. And so we brought that across, knowing that NFTs were going to be the exact same way. You're not going to win on every one, so you have to be getting at least 10x on the ones that you do sell. And you do have to sell. There is no profit in holding. The profit is in the selling. So people made fun of me when I was selling things right into the biggest events. Like I sold a monkey an ape right into ApeCoin drop. That was the hottest time. Yeah, so that's when you sell. I sold Mutant at 38 ETH. I sold a Mutant at 42 ETH. I sold my dogs in this recent one coming up, a dog at 14, 16, 18. I just started dumping dogs. That's how you do it. I don't get them all right, but you don't have to get them all right. It comes back to what I said. You just need to get that 10x, and then it'll pay for the rest of them.
Yeah, so many people are very emotional, and you always hear that phrase like marry your bags. Like when I sold my ape in, I think that was February 2022, is right before ApeCoin came out. People were screaming at me like, why are you exiting? And I'm like, I bought something for $800 that is now worth $500,000. You show me where in real life finance that happens, and then get back to me. I was like, it's a no-brainer. You have to take stuff off the table. And people don't often realize that it's not like it was an easy decision. Like, and that was my only ape. I didn't have multiple apes. I had one ape and all the drops after it. And I ended up selling all of my Yuga assets, but like, I wasn't happy that I was letting them go, but sometimes you have to understand that there's a broader picture, and you have to think logically about kind of all of your investments. So yeah, I definitely agree with like the insight, and people always say, you know, take profits. You have to sell. And I wish more people would actually listen to that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you're going to get fudded, but that's part of it. You know, patience, there's a fine line between patience and then knowing when to leave. So the party peaks at some point. The party's real fun. Everybody's drinking and dancing and things are going on. But there's a point in the party where everybody starts throwing up too. You got to know when to leave.
Yeah, I feel like I made a lot of decent buys, and I've been that guy that has gotten a little bit too attached, a little too emotional about it, and kept things for a little too long. So I've gone through that whole cycle, you know, several times. And after every time, I'm like, I'm going to learn this time. I've learned. This is a learning experience. And then a couple of weeks later, I'll do the same thing on a new project. So I've been there. Some of the ones that I stick with are true conviction plays that I feel like have a long-term, you know, trajectory and the funds to do what they set out to do. But yeah, I've run into that problem where I'm riding this high. Like I just showed the guys a little while ago. I have these Goblin Town hoodies over here. I bought a Goblin Town when it was like 0.6 or something, and not even a week later,
9 ETH. You didn't sell at the top. Come on, man.
No, not even a week later. It was like up at 6 and 7, 8, 9. Now the 7 and 8, 9 was like 10 minutes, but even still, I hovered at 6 for a while, and I kept it. And the burgers came out. I got those, and things were still looking good. And then I was like, these guys are doing great. And then yeah, I just held it too long. I still did decent on it, you know, but. And because I got it, you know, like Shane, I got lucky and just bought, you know, well, Shane is skill, I feel like, but I got lucky buying early. And so I still, you know, made out okay. But yeah, whenever those tops hit and it feels so good, it's really, really hard to sell. It's really hard to sell at that point. And but yeah, from what
also having the regret of selling too early. So like, Burn knows that I got into Turbo as a pre-sale, one of 50, because I knew the artist, and like I sold what
Congrats.
I got for like 110K. But if I would have held for 48 more hours, I could have sold it for 4 million. So like there is the regret of like you can also sell early, right? So there's a flip side.
I normally would say it doesn't bother me, but I will not lie and say that.
Oh no, it bothered me. Like I was
yeah, the millions bother me. I don't mind if I lose out on 10K, maybe even 100K, but when there's a lot of zeros added into it, that's what I'm going to think about when I'm going to sleep, probably for a little while.
Yeah, it still bothers me. It still bothers me for sure.
Always keep a moon bag, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. If I were in your shoes, I probably would have sold it too. I mean, it's 100K.
It was
I don't have
already
millions.
472x. Like I literally sent them 0.125 ETH, and then I came out with 59 ETH. So it's like, you know, I can't be upset.
Yeah,
but
nobody's going to be upset with that.
Yeah, it could have been, you know, hundreds and hundreds of ETH. So, you know,
it's still a good trade.
Sure.
sometimes I'll sell and I just won't look back at the price. I'm married to like 4 ecosystems where I'm too emotionally invested to sell. Plus, and that's because I believe in them. But 4 ecosystems, everything else, I don't care. I'll flip it, sell it, even if it's an artist I like a lot. I mean, if I'm up heavy, I'm gonna sell it and not look back, because looking back can throw off that mentality a little bit. At
Yeah,
the
I
end of the
always
day, you made a great trade. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I always give that analogy too. Like if I get into a project just to flip it like pre-reveal, I won't ever go back and look at it. And I did block like Turbo and the artist and everything on Twitter because I was tired of hearing of what the price was after I sold. But I really want to know how Shane, like, I know we haven't even looked at his wallet yet, but like, how did you not like start selling stuff for like losses to help on taxes and stuff like that? Because like my wallet has significantly shrank because like at the end of the year,
that you're witnessing a wallet that's way shrunk. Yeah. The other thing is this isn't my only wallet. I have a Wolf Game wallet. I have a couple of wallets in general, but on WorldCoin, I lost $300,000. So that pretty much covered everything because I sold an ape in this wallet. I sold it. I don't remember how many ETH I got, 150 maybe ETH for one of the apes. So I had about 600,000 I needed to work off from last year. And the market did a great job helping me work that off. So yeah, I definitely got my taxes down to I think when it was all said and done, even with a sale of a huge ape and a bunch of mutants, I still lost like 300 grand, which you can only take off 3,000 in capital loss.
Income,
yeah. So, it was last year made it really easy to make a negative year. This year's been pretty strong. I mean, I'm going to have to work on some taxes, although again, my Wolf Game's doing a great job of working me off some capital gains.
Yeah. For everything that says like, we're down this year, it's not really true. Like,
not if you're in meme coins. No, I mean,
yeah, no, like, Ethereum was at like 900, so it's doubled in the course of this year, which means your assets have gone up, like, in USD terms. Like it might not look the best from an ETH perspective, but
and staking. I mean, we haven't even discussed that. So I'm retired. I forgot to mention that I retired at the end of last year, so I don't have a job. I don't work at all. I have no paycheck. I have no income.
Congratulations.
I make a living off of domain sales. And all I do is exercise for a living now. So I have to have a way to make income. And I every week sell my wool pouches and my ape staking and put it in a bank account. A straight, not saving an ETH, not anything. Every Friday, maybe every other Friday, depending on gas, but every other Friday, I take all that out and put it away into a normal bank account to ensure that I have income. And that people normally will restake and think, well, if you double down, no, because if you look back, it's worked out well because ApeCoin was up at what, $6? Yeah. I was selling ApeCoin at $6 and putting that in my bank account. So it's worked out really, really well for me, and it provided me some income and it guarantees some profit. So that's kind of how I've been rolling this year.
Solid strategy. I love the idea of selling staking rewards. Like you get in, you let it run for a little bit, let it get hot, and then you can just sell off and take profits. I did that with a node last year. If anyone remembers nodes, complete
yield is everything. I mean, NFTs are great, and I do love it. I love the people. Again, I can't say enough about the relationships I've built through some of these communities. That all being said, it really comes down to profit and yield. That's what we're here for. You can pretend like it's not true, but otherwise it's just art. And the week that I started NFTs, I put out a tweet, and I probably could find it, where I said, whatever you buy, I hope you like what it looks like on the wall, because when this is all said and done, that may be all it's worth. So when you buy something, enjoy it. I said that with the ape. Like when I bought my ape, I bought it because I thought it was great. I've since utilized it, and we haven't even talked about that. I have a honey company that I sell IP, ape or Bored Ape IP. So I have Coda Hot honey and White and Fur honey. So I've used it in business as well. But when it's all said and done, this is a profit, and our goal is to figure out how to make profit with these assets.
Absolutely. 100%. In any decent community, if you sell, they'll tell you good job and cheer you on, you know, say good job, you made a good trade. But there are communities out there that will attack you for selling, which is absolutely ridiculous. People should be able to buy, sell, trade, do whatever you want. Trade, do what's best for you. And any good community would agree with that point that I've made right there.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, today I literally put that I was selling Wolf Game, and I will say I got some of the I've earned more respect than I got in some of the DMs and some of the comments, but that's fine. But I also got some incredibly nice, hey, you know, I appreciate you kind of things. And so there are a lot of the DMs that I know those people that went down the road, we're going to do business together. We're going to help each other do good things and encourage each other. And I'm going to concentrate more on those type of things. The people that told me to fuck off and do those kind of things, that's fine. It just shows me that they're not in it for the right reason, or maybe they just don't. It's all about the bag. So I get it. I mean, I totally get it, but it was a little disheartening because I really helped that community kind of build up. So when I got out, I probably offended people, but I took the tweet down just because I'm not here to FUD, but I did a pretty good job of doing it anyway. So, but at the same time, I diary everything. So when I say I'm buying in, I put it. And when I say I'm getting out, I put it. So at least I'm consistent.
Yeah, those people that told you to fuck off, if you're listening, fuck off. Because like let people trade, like let them trade.
I think they just wanted me to do it quietly, but by posting it publicly, it also gives me more people looking at my wallet, and hopefully they'll take some of the assets. I hope they do great. I've never, ever, I am not one of those people, and I say this all the time, never root on the demise of something that you exit. That does you no good. You don't want, just because you got out doesn't mean you want it to fail. I use the example of my nursery. You know, I left my nursery for my brother to run. Ego would tell me that you don't want him to do as good a job because you want to say that you are the best at what you do and nobody could do it as well. And if they do worse, that's bullshit. No, you want them to crush it because you are you were part of that. Like, it doesn't benefit you. In this case, it does benefit me. But in general, if Wolf Game becomes the biggest thing on earth, I have lost nothing. Like, I really want it to become that. So I just don't participate in the, I want it to fail because I'm not part of it. I'm sure maybe Turbo, you wanted to come down to make you feel better, but in general, you don't really care.
No, I just stopped caring. I stopped looking at it. It hurt my heart. You know, I knew I fucked up almost instantly because I sold it and I came into the Recti Discord and I was like, look, I sold it 472x. OSF told me congratulations. And then he went and spent 50 ETH on buying Turbo. And I was like, shit. I was like, if I didn't immediately already take the ETH out and like send it to Coinbase, I would have like immediately rebought in. I was like, because, you know, it's the finance guys that like, you know, sold apes for millions of dollars buying in at what I thought was the top. And he's like, nah, it's not, it's got legs to run. Now he round tripped it. He didn't take any profit, which I think he would tell you was a mistake. But yeah, like you said, you win some, you lose some. This wallet though looks
you knew when Steve Aoki congratulated you were having trouble on the trade.
Exactly. This wallet looks impressive. It's got 128 items in it. I want to see Burn scroll all the way down, but I would be interested if you might pull some gems out of the hidden part of your wallet to see what's really in there.
Nice.
What are these on-chain birds? Are these like moonbird?
So they're probably excited you pulled those. So I was PO'd at Kevin Rose when I spent, and you don't see him there, but I spent 80 ETH on diamond-headed moonbirds at the top. Like, I probably am the two highest. And 2 days later, Kevin Rose decides to make it CCO, and it's never recovered from that. He made countless other moves, but when he CCO'd it, it just tanked. And so eventually I was out, but I came in, I was so mad. I saw these other derivatives, but it turned out to be a lot more. As we talked earlier, I'm really into the devs. Like developers and founders are really an important part of the process. And Ren is a really creative developer. He did everything on chain. So he took these birds and everything, during the mint process, it was all done. The randomization was all done on chain. Everything was on chain. And I really enjoyed talking to him on how he did that, how he minimized the gas, how he did the art. And he was one of the first on ordinals. So he put all these on, made them into ordinals. And then they have another project of cows that they're going to drop. And again, I'm not really concerned about the birds. I didn't care for the birds because it's just a copycat. But what it was the way he was doing it, and the technology behind it got me really interested. And they were pretty cheap. I don't think I've sold anything. I've probably not made money, but I will say the developers really taught me about on-chain development. It was worth holding just for that. So
nice, man.
The boxes are the same thing. That's more art that they dropped.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
I wish we were all moonbirds at one time.
birds, man.
I was just going to ask, if coming from your domain name background, did you go hard into .eth addresses thinking that they would benefit and be the same kind of thing in the future?
Yeah, so that made me a lot of money. So I used to be known in domain names as the numeric king. So when in the late 2000s, I felt that the world didn't all speak the same language, but they all use numbers. So I went around buying as many 4number.coms as I could for $500. I just kept buying and buying. I remember I went out to LA and gave a talk about, hey, everybody needs to start putting numeric.coms into the portfolio because the West doesn't really understand, but Asia loves numbers. They love 8. It's all about numerology. So those 3number.coms ended up being worth about $500,000 each. The 3 or 4 numbers all sell, even now, $15,000 to $16,000 each. And at the time, they were at $40,000 to $50,000. So I knew that numbers would be popular. So long story short, I bought numeric 3number.eth and a bunch of 4number.eth. And then at peak, I just gradually sold. I bought one. I can't remember the numbers. It's going to be close. So I think I paid 6 ETH because I got in a little late for a 3 number, but sold it for 17 ETH 2 days later. Like just flipping numbers. I was buying for a half, selling for 3. ETH future is not. It's peaked. People are going to hate that I say that, but ETH only has a wallet ability at this time. There's no ability to put a website on it. I'm sure there'll be utility at some point, but before that utility comes, there will be the ability to take any domain name, wrap it, and make it a crypto wallet. So right now at 543.xyz, which is a name I have, that can be a crypto wallet immediately. I can go wrap it, make it to an ENS name. So you're going to be able to take any domain name and make it serve the same purpose, yet have a website, have an email, have all this other utility, which I think makes the .eth not nearly as valuable. Yes, it still is a great moniker. It's still an NFT. It's still easily memorable, but I think there will be other alternatives that have more utility and provide the same service.
So real quick before we move on from that topic, I'm curious, given the comparison between the domain names and the .eth and how quickly they appreciated in value, were you surprised by like how quickly you bought like .eth names and then how like fast they like rocketed in value in the space?
No, because they dropped the coin. As soon as they dropped the coin, I knew that was going to bring attention. It turned it into an NFT game at that point. Once coin got dropped, attention got brought. Once that kind of attention, I've been in enough NFTs to know that skyrocket comes quickly if it catches fire. Anything catches fire in our industry quickly. So I didn't expect it to have the depth that it has or had, but the tools behind it, right? The the ability for something to grow in value is usually correlated to the amount of people building tools and assets to curate that information, right? So once people start building ens.vision to be able to go through all the names and buy and sell, I knew that was going to be a really good way to keep the value going. And that's the same thing. When third-party tools are added onto a project, you know that it has legs. And so, I knew that it would do well. And I know internally, one-word.eth names are very valuable. First names are very valuable. It comes down to all collectibles. The more people that want it, a domain name is as valuable as the person that wants it. And so the more people that want something, the more chance it has of value. So on a generic domain name, there's a lot of people that want a generic. But if you have Johnson Johannan Smith, there's only so many Johnson Johannan Smiths that's going to want that name. So the same with the .eth. If you have a very generic name, but that's when somebody sends me a name, I'm like, there's literally 17 people in this world that want it. And you better hope those 17 people want it. But if it's super generic and it's Daniel.eth, probably a Daniel with a lot of ETH that want that name. So that's kind of how I value things.
Makes sense. All right, man. So we are a little short on time here. But we're going to rate your wallet on a scale of 1 to 10, just from what we've seen. And I mean, your background obviously is going to come into play, the success you've had. But after we're done, 2160 and I are going to hard shill you on a community you need to join. We'll talk about it off the show. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Oh, you're on mute.
I love the people. No, I was just going to say, I joined communities because of the people. I have no problem paying to be part of great people.
All right, nice. We got one that I think you'll fit in well with. A lot of other people with trading backgrounds and things like that. But anyway, your wallet, Octane or 2160, you go ahead, and if you guys want to give your scores first.
Yeah, I mean, knowing your background and knowing you have probably a ton of other wallets, this one, it seems really interesting. You have some apes in there. I like some of the derivatives that you talk about having, particularly because you got into the story of the dev and the tech, and that's kind of why you supported. I've done that in the past too. It wasn't really a value play. It wasn't I'm going to make a bunch of money, but I want to support or understand what's going on in the background. And then, having some very interesting .eth, domain names in there. I give the wallet a solid 8.2, I think. As somebody who's been here for a while, like I said, I would be interested to see the hidden folder more than anything else, just to see all the crap that you've either purchased and want to hide from the world, or the crap that's been sent to you for free by scammers. It's always interesting to see what's in there. But yeah, that's my score.
It's a pretty good score.
Do you guys ever get, like, the one thing with my apes, I would get handwritten notes or typed out notes in NFT forms sent to me saying, I'll give you so-and-so ETH for that ape, which was unusual. And I did sell my blue ape to someone that sent a note like that.
I have received a couple notes like that back when I did have an ape. So I think that's a common, it's really the only way that you could really get a hold of somebody if they weren't using that ape as their POP and weren't like active in either the Discord or on Twitter, because you would like an ape that I flipped. I had a couple derivatives that were actually really quality derivatives from like well-known artists. And so like it had flipped a couple more times, and I was trying to find the person that bought it, but it was an anonymous wallet. And so it's very difficult if you don't do something like that. So I definitely have had experiences with that, but it's unusual to kind of wake up to a message in your wallet as an NFT.
Yeah, especially when it had some good numbers, because you think you're going to get scammed. But then
Right.
I realized, yeah, maybe that's a good way to communicate with people.
It works for sure. Octane, you want to go ahead and give a score?
Yeah, I don't have anything in my wallet that anybody would want to send a note for. But yeah, looking at your wallet, I mean, I like everything, especially the other side items. The play on everything Yuga. I like that you've put your apes to work, and you got the honey. What is it? The hot coda honey and the other honey, and then and everything. So yeah, I've been following your journey, I guess, and just reading all the things, all the projects you've had going on over the past year since I've been in Web3, and looking at your philosophy on it better be good art at in the end, because it might be only art in the end. So I would say I think I'm going to give probably a 9. It's going to be a 9, and it's probably because of everything in the wallet, but also everything else you're doing with that wallet, and probably also including some of your other things you have going on in your other wallets. So pretty high for my first rating.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I mean, you're heavy Yuga. I'm a fan of Yuga. I know a lot of people. A lot of people are, I guess, tiring of Yuga, or they're talking about how the apes floor is dropping. But we're in a bear market, and what they're building with other side, I think, if you look at Dookie Dash, they crushed it. Like, it was an addicting game. A lot of people were in there. They're building more games besides just other side. I think that's I'm betting that it's going to be a big success, and if we take into account your I guess your trading history as well, it's going to be a high rating. And then you look and see you've taken shots at some other projects, and maybe they've made it, maybe they haven't. But I think that's part of the strategy, right? We should all have some things in our wallets that aren't great, because we need to be taking shots. Now, that doesn't mean that you just yeet your whole portfolio into like doodle, ape, punk, fucking like trash NFTs, right? But every once in a while, you need to take a small portion and take some risks. So that's good. So I'm going to give you a 9.2, just considering everything. I mean, if we look at like how you've traded, it's probably higher than that, because obviously you've been very successful. You've crushed it, and knowing when to sell is part of that. So yeah, man, we appreciate you coming on. Great insight, and yeah, excellent interview. We appreciate it.
No, thanks guys for having me on. I could talk about this stuff all day. I mean, it really, I try and put a fun spin on it, but a business side of it too, because it is money, it's real money. It seems to feel fake, because you're talking ETH and hundreds of thousands of dollars at times. And so it just doesn't feel real. And that's why I think it's important to throw it in your bank account and spend a little bit of it, and it'll feel real. It will feel real once it turns into a real money. It definitely will turn into real taxes. You have to watch that as well. But no, I enjoy talking about it. I enjoy meeting people like yourselves that are in it, diverse backgrounds, all trying to do the same thing, have a little fun, make a little money.
Yeah, for sure, man. And then we'll hard shill you after the show. 2160 and I will both be in your inbox. So
I'm
get
game.
ready for that.
All right. Thanks, Shane.
All right,
Appreciate
cool.
it.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Gentlemen.
Thanks, Shane.
All right, boys. Next up, we've got EpsilonTauHeta. What's up, man?
How's it going? I know. I just want to make sure the audio is good. Does it sound okay?
Yeah,
You're good. You're good. Yeah, we can
Okay,
hear you
awesome.
loud and clear.
So yeah, let me just explain real quick why I'm at the beach. I'm actually here doing a lookbook for another project I'm working on, which is unrelated to this one. It is a surf company, but what I'm here for. My name is Dimitri Gradinari. First of all, I go by Dimmy. So if you want to refer to me, you could just refer to me as Dimmy. I've been in the Web3 space for about 2 years now. I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. I used to sell gum at school. People used to make fun of me. I used to just sell random T-shirts with cool designs. These days, I've been really involved in the cultural aspect of Web3. I think it's really, really amazing what's happening with changing consumer trends. I also want to just keep this brief because I might, my phone is low on battery right now. So if I do disconnect, I do apologize. But more broadly, I am really interested in seeing how we can onboard people by speaking their language. in a lot of ways. So that might be done for particularly my project, which is EpsilonTauHeta. It is a frat. Essentially it is a frat. It's a network of clubs all over the country. We're working on some really, really big partnerships, some really big sponsorships. And it's going to be basically an experience that transcends any nightclub experience that you've ever had. There will be a bar area in the basement, which is actually just a nightclub. There will be a kitchen where you go to get some food. There will be a living room, which is the lounge for you to just chill. All of that is
Oh no. Are we losing him?
Yeah, I think he froze for a second.
sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you
you're
go.
back. You're back.
Okay, sorry. Where did it leave off? I'm sorry.
So you were talking about how you've got all the different sections, like it's a frat house and the nightclubs across the country.
Yeah. That's basically it. I mean, it's very early stages. I'm really just looking on to what I've got right now. My friends that are working with me, and we're really just trying to do this on a really broad scale. I think the message will transcend crypto. People will look at ETH and not even realize that it has anything to do with crypto. People will just want to go to the club. Again, I'm trying to figure out all the logistics right now. I've looked into potentially using soulbound tokens and having people, borrow availability for coming through to a club. We might be able to do that. If we don't do that, we might just allow people to purchase tickets in the form of NFTs. That's another thing I'm also working on at my school, Drexel University. I have had a lot of trouble finding other people who are really interested in the space. So I actually started a club, which is unofficial, because the club doesn't support Web3, or the school doesn't support Web3. So I'm not actually affiliated with the school, but I do create educational content about Web3. I have a group that I started, a Discord group. A lot of people who are in there have traditionally only used Discord for gaming. So for them to use these communities as a place to discuss, how do I learn to code with Solidity? How do I make art? And if I'm already an artist, how do I tokenize my artwork? If I'm a fashion designer, how do I tokenize my clothing like 9DCC or RTFKT? All of that is who I am. It's my passion. And I think the key here is all of us are here gathered together because we all have the same passion. We truly believe in this space. There are plenty of people who, will be disrespectful to us. And the same goes for any passion. But if we all just keep our eyes set on it and we keep going and we show people that eventually there will be no way to deny that this space is here to stay, I think a lot can really, really come together in the next 5-10 years.
All right, man. First, I love your passion. You clearly care about this. It kind of sounds like you don't quite have a project ready yet. Like you're really early,
Yeah.
right? You're very,
Yeah,
very
super early. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the whole idea of using NFTs without knowing you're using them, that's where I think a lot of us believe this is going, right? So everyone will be using them, they'll have no idea. Nightclubs, I mean, you won't catch me in a nightclub ever because I'm an old man and fuck that.
Yeah.
But younger people like that stuff. It's great for them.
Exactly.
But
Burns only 25, but he acts like he's 90 years old.
Oh wow! Yeah, come on. I'm
38,
21, dude.
I
don't
think
look a day
you
over
hit the nail
25.
on the head there. Mass adoption is going to come in Web3 when people are using the products of Web3 without knowing the technology behind it.
Just outside. You're good. Try to stay out of
I equate it to the internet, right? Like people don't know how TCP works, but like they use the internet every day and they can't live without it. It's the same way that we're going to make Web3, something that people can't live without, and they won't need to know the technology. I think from the standpoint of using it as a ticketing system, I think we've seen that other places. The thing that comes to mind when you talk about your utility is kind of like Gary Vee and VCon using them as tickets to the conference. And then he did that spinoff where he sold them as like a membership to a specific restaurant. I think, that's perfect. That's a great way to use the technology and to create communities. And that's really what Web3 is all about. So I definitely applaud the direction that you're going in. Like Bern said, it sounds like it's very early, but we need a bunch of people to be working in Web3 and have different levels of input into society. So the fact that you're at a college and you created a club, I think
Yeah.
that's a great way to get new people into this world.
Yeah, I appreciate that 2160, and it's really more so who I am. Again, I can go on and on about this. I come from a long line of educators. My mom is a speech pathologist. She helps people with speech impediments or who otherwise are not able to speak. My father is also an educator because he runs his own sign business, so he has to teach people how to do what he does without getting angry at them. And all of those things sort of are in my genes. My grandfather was a principal at a school for the deaf. He was not deaf himself, but he had a passion for helping others who basically couldn't help themselves. So if I were to compare that to that, I basically feel like I'm in a similar situation. A lot of kids at my school is extremely quick and fast moving. It's a 10-week program. So what happens is they don't really have much time to figure out what they really like to do. And they end up going on this program that we have called co-op, which is a pretty common thing these days. But you basically get put into a job that you might like or might not like. The issue is I find a lot of my peers getting into situations where they're really not happy. And I feel like if we use Web3 to provide the biggest form of value possible, which is allowing people to truly, truly be happy, being passionate about something, and not just, using their artwork in tokenized form and selling it. One of my biggest inspirations is Danny Cole with Creature World. Full disclosure, I am invested. It was actually the first project I actually bought into. And I'm still really, really interested in what he's doing, and I'm really passionate about it because he's a young guy like me. He's only a year or two older than me. He's been able to accomplish so much. I think he's going to be one of the major players. He's still super young. He grew up in this internet world just like me. He understands better than anyone how to appeal to masses. He's in New York now. If we really just come together with these communities, and I'm really, really passionate about all of the communities I've been a part of in the past. Again, I really appreciated that you guys spoke about the importance of allowing people to trade. There are always going to be opportunities where there won't be opportunities to make money. If we just allow people to live their lives the way they want to live it, again, I think we can really show people that this can change. If we allow people to think about this as not only an opportunity to find like-minded people, but to really seek financial freedom, to really seek an opportunity in so many ways. Like, for example, I'll just name a few projects that I really like. I was invested in MFers. I was one of the original mentors. Watched it go all the way down to 0.08. Sold an ape MFer for 20 ETH. I sold all my MFers for well over 1 ETH when they were on the way up. And MFers is still thriving. They still have an amazing community, and it's what's funding it and what's fueling that fire is community. It's meme culture. It's Satoshi being just a goat in so many ways. I'm not invested anymore, but that is something I appreciate. Bored Ape Yacht Club, starting with a bathroom to draw dicks in. Look at where it's at right now. I am heavily invested in Other Side, and I hope to include the vision for ETH in Other Side in whatever way possible, and also a couple of other projects that I'm working on that I won't mention right now. But it's really just super exciting what's happening. I really want to onboard more people into not just Web3, but whatever they want to do. So I also started Discord communities at my school for literally everything that you could imagine. A car club. I started a Discord for people who like pets, who like TVs and movies, music, literally music production specifically. Because what I found as a kid, like I was like 15, 16 years old, I really wanted to start selling shoes. And because I saw my friends wearing Jordans, and I was like, I don't understand why they want to wear these $200 shoes. And I wanted to get into it. So I was too scared to find people in real life. I thought the upperclassmen were going to laugh at me. I found people online, and guess now I've done well over $1 million in revenue for my shoe business. And now I'm doing the Web3 stuff, and I really am excited to see where this takes me. I think there are plenty of stories just like mine. I'm personally affiliated with a lot of friends who had a very similar path. They started in shoes. Some of my friends did CSGO skins too. So I know you also mentioned how it's not really luck, it is skill. For me, I feel like there is an element of luck because my first day playing CSGO, to keep it short, I unboxed an AK-47 Vulcan, which is a pretty cool skin. It was really cool at the time, but it's even cooler now because it was worth like what, $100 or $200 at the time that I unboxed it. Now it's worth over $1,000 with CS2. And again, this exposure to digital ownership really early on really taught me exactly where we were going. And I think I've just had all these opportunities to learn so much, and I'm just excited to put it to good use and build my own things. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense and where like this passion comes from.
Bro, I love the enthusiasm. So it sounds like you have a project that's not really started, but I mean, you got an idea. That's good. I know you mentioned you're in talks and things. I mean, at this time, we definitely can't rate anything because
If I
we don't know
yeah
fucking anything about it. Um,
yeah
but I mean, you're enthusiastic, man. You gotta just direct that energy towards the project. And OG's over here texting me, our old host. He's like, he said, you giving out coke lately. But, hey, it's good, man. You got a lot of energy. It's like you
yeah
just did a bunch of lines, and that's good.
yeah. No, I'll be honest with you. I model myself a lot after Gary Vee, and people say the same exact thing about him. And if that's who I'll be compared to, so be it. I love that guy. He has a very similar story to me. I was also born in an Eastern European country, came to this country with nothing. My parents built up, their wealth, and everything I started with was alone. They didn't invest in me at all. I started with $200, bought a pair of NMDs, and just been scaling from there. So again, maybe it's the sun rays giving me some energy too at the beach here, but I don't know.
Yeah, man,
It's
I applaud the energy, man. Web3
Yeah,
needs
you.
it. We need
Yeah.
people that are willing to dig in and bootstrap it themselves and create value. And it sounds like you've got everything that you need to be able to do so. Like Burn Dog said, we don't really have anything to rate, but how do we continue to follow what you're working on?
Right. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. First of all, I also wanted to say thank you so much for Shane coming on, because I feel like, again, he's an older guy, but I feel like his passion is really similar to what I've got. I can tell just by the way he talks about this stuff. He's trying to compare it to things like I said, you want to speak to people for the language they understand. If we compare ENS domains to, owning a 4-digit .com, that's honestly, that makes sense to a lot more people than just saying, you got to buy the ETH domains, you got to register it on the registrar. There's also an ENS token. None of that's going to make sense to an average person. So if I were to say, if you want to keep following what I'm working on, or keep in touch with me, I'm an open book. If anybody wants to reach out to me with any questions, you can follow me on Twitter at EpsilonTauHeta. My personal Twitter is 0xdimmy. So just like a ETH address starts 0xdimmy. And I am verified, so you shouldn't have trouble finding that. I'm working on a lot of stuff, so I think it'll be really exciting to see how communities come together. I'm trying to involve everybody for one community also that I refer to as Singularity. It's an idea. Again, I'm not going to get into detail because it's very, very early for that too. Even earlier than the ETH. Like, I'm working on partnerships right now to really get on the right foot with ETH. But for the Singularity idea, I'm trying to bring together, basically open source all of it, have everybody just working together for fun and no other reason. If we were to model the file structure of our universe, if it really were a simulation, and we were to tokenize the file structure, so if the biggest folder is the universe, and then subfolder is observable universe, and then if you really want to visualize this, you can go to the scaleoftheuniverse.com. That's a really cool website that shows you like from biggest to smallest. I kind of want to see if there's a way to tokenize that. I think that could be really cool, especially if somebody wants to develop like a simulation game, obviously leaving out like political affiliations and just focusing on matter specifically. If you could own like the thing Beach, or if you could own Mercury as a planet, that stuff could be really cool. Again, that's kind of what ENS domains are also pretty cool for, if you can own the word like beach, or you could own the word boat. But what if you could own like in Singularity, which is, basically could be a simulation game and could be a metaverse. If you could own those file folders, maybe we could figure out a way to make that work.
I have no idea what you just said. I just completely blacked out. You're just
it's the enthusiasm coming through. Like I feel like this was me like, I don't know, 15 months ago in Web3, where I just had all these ideas. Community building was like, communities were the product. And I totally get that. I totally get like, communities are also what make the project eventually, because you have people like Shane, for example, who are building up brands out of his apes, or some prominent gamers who are taking Other Side and Other Deeds to new heights in terms of prize money and stuff like that. It's like these people that are your community are also helping you build up the project. So I think it's really cool. I think it's a neat idea. I've always thought, especially early on, that communities were one of the, I guess, the driving forces behind NFTs and just the quick community building and networking you can do in Web3. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not so sure about the Singularity project. That sounds like a pretty huge project idea, but yeah, I totally get it with the EpsilonTauHeta, and
Yeah.
it'd be cool to see how it turns out.
Yeah, I will definitely. I would love to come back on with a more concrete overview. That's kind of all I had for today in terms of describing, sort of some of the plans. I think the really cool thing that people can already visualize is, have it structured as a frat house, have the nightclub be in the basement just as a regular frat house would, have, maybe even just, the kitchen could be as simple as having a very limited selection of products, having your burgers or your fries or chicken wings, whatever greasy stuff people want to eat at the nightclub. But that being said, I think that's really the heart of it. It'll keep building as I go. Again, like Shane was saying, this is much like a diary. I would like this to be the first, this is the first time I'm going out publicly and talking about this, other than, obviously approaching partners and so on and so forth. But yeah, I hope it makes a little bit of sense. I know I've been really, really quick in what I've been saying. I think that if you do want to keep in touch and keep following what I'm working on, just the Twitter is the best way. I'll keep posting updates. I think that once we really do have a mint or whatever form that we do decide on pursuing, it'll be a lot more prevalent and a lot more people will be talking about it. For now, everybody's early, so that's really the key, is just being aware that this is a thing that I'm thinking about, and then I really am passionate. I'm putting my face on it. I'm associating everything I'm doing with it. So I hope that kind of connects the dots on really the vision for why I wanted to come on today at all. Even though I don't have like a project actually ready for you to look at.
Right on, man. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, we appreciate it. And best of luck. I guess reach out to me when you've got like a project,
I got you.
And then
Yeah.
we can talk about it.
That'll be the next one.
Yeah, take your time. Don't rush.
Yeah, man. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you all. Thank you for having me on.
All right, later, bro. What the fuck just happened, boys? Just blacked out.
Man, you need energy to build in this space.
It's good.
It's because we've been here for like 2-3 years. That's why. Like you said, that was probably me. Like when I first found Web3 and NFTs, I was like, what can I do? What can I build? And had a billion ideas. But he's got the spirit behind him to build something that could actually be impactful, which is community. And you need people that lead the charge in all generations, right? So the fact that he's on a college campus, going against the man who the college that doesn't want to support Web3, and trying to get people into it, I think, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, we can't rate anything because there's nothing there, but it sounds like he's got passion, and passion, is what is half the battle when you're trying to build something in the wild west, like Web3.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times the other part of it is just doing something. Everybody has ideas. I have tons of ideas. I've probably not acted on the majority of my ideas, and at least he's doing something, right? So got to give him props there. And yeah, I think, I had ideas for something where, it was similar kind of theme where you have these memberships to, exclusive clubs and things like that through NFTs and whatnot. And so I think Web3 kind of definitely lets you do that. But to pull it off successfully, to get the hype going, to make sure it's something that's successful and that has the funding to do that, that's a whole other question. But yeah, he's got the enthusiasm. He's me whenever I started, like, a year and a half ago, and at least he's doing something and giving it a shot. So we need people like that, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love the enthusiasm.
Chef almost said 50 years ago, because a year and a half in Web3.
Like 50 years. Yeah, 50 years is Web3 time.
That's a long time. We are hundreds of years old.
Exactly.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, you get enthusiastic, that's good, but sometimes you gotta like slow the fuck down, and like you can't do too many things at once either. If you're gonna be a founder, you've got your project. You can't be like, here's the 8 projects I'm gonna start, because then you'll have 8.
That's true.
focus on one thing and do a really good job and take your time. But yeah, man, good show, boys. Chef, welcome to the team.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, sorry I have these tech issues. My blue camera, if you're watching on YouTube, and my mic having issues, but yeah, it's great. I think it was cool. We had two opposite ends of the spectrum today, in Shane and Demi, and that was kind of funny how it turned out. But yeah, I'm glad to be here. I look forward to contributing, and yeah, it's been fun. Fun first episode.
Oh yeah, man. I'm like slightly drunk too because I've got this almost gone. Usually my goal is to be slightly drunk by the end of each episode.
Yeah,
I got my non-alcoholic drink over here.
we start the show at 11 a.m. So you know, I'm in California, so I definitely grabbing a drink before we actually sit down and go live.
Right. I mean, it's Friday. Friday's not a work day, even if you work, right?
Yeah, technically it doesn't count. It really
Absolutely not. Yeah, for sure. You know, and I'll be in Lisbon you know, next week when we do the show, so even more reason to drink.
Hell yeah, dude. You should do it in like a public space and pull in like other people.
Random people.
Yeah, man. Random NFT people to come and chill. I don't know. That'll be good. We're going to do Thursday next week because I got a golf weekend next Friday. So we're going to do Thursday next week, everybody. But yeah, thanks, guys. Good show. And I will play us out.
Let's go.
Thanks, everyone.
I can't wait to hear what our new song is. A6 said he's cooking something up, so.
I forget who does the memes for our radio account, but that was hilarious. The stuff he was coming up
yeah, Line Trash.
Line Trash, he's a goat. Shout out DTX.
That shit was making me laugh.
Hell yeah. Hit this little end broadcast.